Hello. We are making a video together, my baby dog and I, on the couch, and it is nice and warm, and outside it is snowing here in California. My gosh. And I'm gonna get into that later, but right in the beginning here of this video I want to make an announcement, and that announcement is to all people who are living in a cold climate and who are having winter right now. And my message is to you, all of you, is bring your dogs in the house. You have to bring your animals in the house, okay? This is absolutely, infinitely important, okay? The animals have to be kept warm. You see, we have an American Staffordshire. We rescued him. And he has extremely short coat, like almost naked. And he was out there in the snow earlier and he ran around, and he likes the snow, but he has to come right back in and he has to get heated up in the house. So this is very, very important that everyone brings their dogs and cats and rabbits and other animals into the house. Very, very important. I'm getting a little warm now. I can unzip this. So we have it nice and warm in here, and that's how it should be. Okay, so the house has to be kept warm and your animals have to be kept warm. This is very, very important. This is a love message for the whole world, okay? Everyone needs to always keep their dogs in the house, particularly in the winter time. So, and in the summertime too, you know, you have to bring your dogs in the house. The dogs want to be with you, they want to hang out with you. And in those horrible countries where they're not allowed to bring dogs in the house, or in those horrible religions, my message to those people is, if you cannot provide a life of wellness for your dog, then don't get a dog. Okay, so that's my message to those people. If they don't like dogs, they shouldn't get a dog. They should get a different animal, an animal they like. And people should get the animal that they can handle, that they can deal with. If people don't know how to house train a dog, they shouldn't get a dog. A dog is not a living burglar alarm, okay? That's absolutely important for people to understand, okay? You have to make sure that you give your living being what they need, okay? What they have to have in their lives. Your living being, they are alive like you. They feel, they can get bladder infections. It is gruesome to get bladder infections. I would say I probably had 30 bladder infections in my life, or maybe even more. Okay. And some of them were so bad. I had blood in the urine. I was screaming in pain. In the past, they would give me antibiotics, which is really bad for the health, real hard for the kidneys and the liver to flush all of that out. Really, 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 really difficult. Okay. It can cause antibiotics, as the name says, it is anti probiotics. It's antimicrobial, which also, that doesn't discriminate, that's bad for any living organism's body cells. Okay, so don't do it. Don't do anything that's anti. Okay. So probiotics, you want to take probiotics. For a bladder infection, you have to completely keep your animal and yourself warm. Okay, that's rule number one. Okay, and in order to medicinally treat this condition, you can take cranberries, frozen cranberries, dried cranberries, cranberry juice, cranberry supplements. I used to take those. That's very effective, but I don't need to buy any of this anymore, because when I started it was around April or something, 2020, when the pandemic started. And I did brainstorming, I meditated on this, and I saw the rhododendron in front of our window at the other house. And I thought, oh, we have all this rhododendron. I wonder if that is antiviral. And then I thought about the Camellia japonica that we have on the other side, at the other house. And I thought, what if that is antiviral too? So I researched both of these plants, and believe it or not, it has been proven. Those plants have been proven, scientifically proven, to get rid of all viruses. But most people don't know it. That information is not revealed to you. They wouldn't be, no news outlet would reveal that to you, because all news outlets, I would say including Fox News too, every single one. Maybe there's one rare one in India or Asia or whatever that is not biased by the pharmaceutical industry, but the pharmaceutical industry has such a leverage, such a corporate leverage on all kinds of institutions, political institutions, even schools. They have taken over the school system. So it is criminal what's happening out there with the corporate agenda, really criminal. And they systematically brainwash the public to abandon anything that your grandmother told you or your great-grandmother told you about herbs. They systematically brainwash people to ignore anything that has to do with holistic healing. It is on the rise. There are more and more people that are starting to listen because they have seen holistic medicine work. So they know people that are direct witnesses to this. So it is very gradually but very slowly moving forward and getting out there. But the pharma industry wants to suppress that. Okay, that's for sure. So rhododendron gets rid of all viruses, all bad bacteria that come into the system. It gets rid of fungal infections, any kind of fungus, any kind of bad microbial infection, bad microbes that are parasitic in some way, as viruses are. Okay, it even gets rid of some parasites, like multicellular even. So it's amazing what rhododendron does. So it's a wide spectrum mycotic, antibiotic, antimicrobial, antiviral. So yeah, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And so since I started that, I've never gotten sick again with anything. No flu, no virus, no bladder infection. It's amazing. It really is amazing. So I highly recommend to people to go out there, pick rhododendron leaves. It costs you absolutely nothing, not even a penny. And find out how they look like. Okay, those shrubs, they grow in almost every neighborhood, almost all the way around the globe. Even in Germany they grow. And all you have to do is you pick the leaves, you shred them, you put them into a teapot, you heat water up, you boil water, you pour the boiling water on into the teapot on the shredded leaves, you let it sit for an hour or two, and then you can drink it. Okay, it tastes really good. I like the way it tastes. Yes, yes, that is a beautiful dog. Is that? Yes, he is my everything. Yes, he smells so good. Oh, you smell so good. Okay, so yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to say. That's very, very important to keep your animals warm, keep your animals protected from the outdoors, from the cold, from the rain, from the snow, from the hail, and from any kind of danger. Okay, keep your animals safe in your home. Protect your animals. Very, very important. And get into holistic healing. Drink rhododendron tea. Camellia japonica does the same. So for dogs, they can't have the same amounts. So for a dog, I recommend that you might be able to take like a very small amount of rhododendron, but rhododendron, I read on the internet, is not has been poisonous for dogs, but I don't know what amount these dogs have ingested. So he has chewed on a rhododendron branch outside in the garden, and I tried to stop him, but he kept chewing on it. And so I took him away from there because I didn't want him to ingest the sap from the brush. And then later on he was extremely sluggish. So that wasn't too much for him to take, but it was a little bit too much. So they shouldn't get really extremely sluggish from that. And so it slows down the heart rate. I noticed that for myself too. It can also cause hallucinations. It is psychedelic, but not in small amounts. So to have psychedelic results with rhododendron, you would have to probably drink several gallons per day, or just make like an enormously condensed concoction in a pot with, I don't know, probably 100 leaves or something shredded, and stuff that in a cook pot, a large cook pot, with water, and then boil that, and I guess boil that for an hour or something on a low flame, and then you have an enormous concoction. And people can make tinctures with that. This is very wound healing. This is very microbial and antiseptic, of course, and so that can be used as a hand sanitizer, but not drink it. So concoction, I wouldn't recommend it, unless you only drink it. Put a little bit in a cup and dilute it with water. Then you can do that. But I would not. I don't recommend to drink really condensed concoctions of that, because that can induce psychedelic results, but that's not the scariest part of it. So obviously I've experimented with stuff like this, so it was very interesting. But what happens is, when people actually get psychedelic results from plants like rhododendron, Camellia japonica, Pieris japonica, and many other plants that are out there, okay, that have, like oleander, for example, that have similar properties, that have similar alkaloids in them. Okay, so when you have psychedelic effects from those kind of plants, then you've taken too much. Then you know you've taken too much, and it is also slowing down the heart rate, and it can be very difficult for the liver, so, and the kidneys. So then these are listed as oleander, Pieris japonica, and rhododendron are listed as poisonous plants for that reason. Okay, so, but not all poisonous plants are like, you still cannot put them on the same, in the same category as pharmaceutical drugs. Okay. Pharmaceutical drugs are really poison. Okay, they don't have any benefits at all. There is no medicinal benefit at all. Pharmaceutical drugs only cover up symptoms. They don't heal people. Okay, this is a fact. Okay, but there's a bunch of people that make a whole lot of money on those. Okay, because those can be patented, because they are synthetic molecules that have been manufactured in the laboratory and tested on animals. Absolutely horrific what they do. Okay, so don't give them money. Don't contribute to this horror at all. Okay, don't do it. So I want nothing to do with that. I quit all pharma drugs for mental illness. I quit all of that in 2003. I quit it all. I've been through really, really rough times when we were living in LA. I had tried to overdose with pharmaceutical drugs, with even antipsychotic drugs, antidepressive drugs, neurotransmitter, and other horrible chemicals that my psychiatrist gave me as samples. Okay, so to test it on me. So yeah, that's what I did. It was 2002. I was in a bad mental state, and that happened because of Paul and my mother. Each one of them was telling me something extremely contradictory for me to do. So one person said, do this, the other person said, don't do that, do this. And it went on and on and on. It had to do with his dad, what we were supposed to do with his dad. His dad had a stroke, and I wanted to help, and he got really mad at me. Paul got mad at me because I called the rural services. I didn't know what else to do, and they thought that someone in the household was abusing an old person. And I explained to them he had a stroke, and I don't know what to do. We don't know what to do with him now because we are not health experts. And so it's a long, long, long story. It was bad. I was so torn. I didn't know what to do. I probably should have just walked away. I think in a situation like this today, I would walk away. I would say, you are an asshole, and you are an asshole, and you're all assholes. So, peace out. I am out the door. That's my reaction today. But at that time, I was still on pharmaceutical drugs. I was struggling with depression and mental illness and OCD and suicide and borderline and all of that. And it was really bad, and I couldn't think clearly, and then I overdosed on about 100 or more pills, and it wasn't lethal. It was designed to not be lethal, but it really messed up my entire system, my brain. It caused me convulsions, neurological damage, really bad. It was really severe. Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna explain further into it. It's a real sad thing what happened there. I went through a lot. So, and then in 2003, I decided I'm gonna have to quit all of these drugs. I'm gonna have to, because they don't make it better. I was really sick. I knew that the drugs were making me really lethargic, and then at one day we were hiking. I couldn't go any further. I had to sit down on the hiking trail. The next day my urine was dark brown, and that's when I knew I had to quit the drugs. I had to quit it all, cold turkey, and I did. And I never looked back. Okay, so that's when I decided to go on the holistic healing path, and I met a whole bunch of interesting people on that journey, and that helped me, and that gave me good advice. And we bought different books from different holistic health experts, Dr. Gary Null, Dr. Richard Schultz, and other people, and it was amazing. I met the Messengers of Light. They helped me. They even helped my dogs. I mean, it's incredible the kind of people that I found. Massage treatments. So, yeah, and I've been on that holistic path ever since 2003, and will be for the rest of my life, and things have gotten better and better and better. I mean, you see that I struggle with mental illness, and my haters, they know for sure, because they spy on my computer, they hear me cry and all of that. So, but this situation is already like light years better than it was. Then you wonder, I wonder how bad it actually was. It was bad. So, to say the least. Okay, so, and the pharma drugs didn't help at all. Okay, so they only made it worse, actually. So, yeah, it's just, I have to always remind myself, yes, I am mentally ill, but I have really so drastically healed myself already. Drastically. So I'm probably going to be working on my mind, my mental healing, for the rest of my life. But people need to keep in mind that whatever there is, it has a reason, it has a root cause. Okay. So when someone is mentally ill, there is a reason for it. Someone is not just mentally ill, just like that. Okay, so it's a combination of genes, which is also not my fault, of course. Genes and environment and society pressure, teachers, family members, and so on. It's a combination of all of that. And we need to look into it. And that's why I am dealing with this and want to find out what causes certain things, including what causes all kinds of mental illnesses, what causes the mental illnesses of those people that cause other people mental illnesses. So that in itself is a mental illness. Those people that make other people mentally ill, that push other people into the corner, that coerce people, that butcher people, that abuse people in all kinds of ways, those people are mentally ill. That in itself is a mental illness. Okay, those are called cluster B mental illnesses. Okay, they are very severe. They are much more severe than the other mental illnesses. So the other mental illnesses are coping mechanisms where the people are in despair, trying to in some way cope with that chaos. That can be in all kinds of, that can be in self-harming ways, that can be in ways of getting nervous breakdowns and crying and being hysterical, being borderline. But that's one group where they don't hurt others. They don't let it out on an animal or other living being in general, child or adult, human, or any being, so any living being. And then there's the other group of people that let it out on innocent living beings. Okay, that's real serious. This is real serious. This is the most concerning and most disturbing and serious mental illness there is. Mental illnesses, several. Okay. So, yeah, Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about it. Dr. Sam Vaknin talks about this in depth. Okay. So, and there are many others that talk about it. And Teal Swan talks about it as well. She comes with yet another approach, a wider approach to it, a wider angle, which is important. And I talk about it all the time. Okay, I'm trying to dig into this, not just in terms of scientific literature. I do too, of course. I read all of it. I also observe people. I personally observe people's behavior. As I observe myself, I observe Paul, I observe everything around me. I observe people in the store, on the streets. I observe people on the internet all the time, okay? And they observe me, so we observe each other, but with different motives, okay? I observe them, I observe the cluster B with the motive of trying to find out what's going on in their heads. I want to help them. I want to help them heal. And I want to protect others from those people. And I want to create therapy help centers where everyone can get help. Okay, where every person who is suicidal can finally go to a place and feel like they get actually the help that they need. Okay, so they can go to an open therapy center and say, I'm suicidal or I'm feeling like this, and there will be people that will welcome them in and talk to them and help them and brainstorm with them together on how they can fix and improve their lives. Okay, so and I want to have a group session from 5 to 8 every single day in that open therapy help center, and then we also need 3 other therapy help centers. They could be combined into one. Maybe we should combine them into one. I don't know. But I don't know if that's a good idea. But the other 3 therapy help centers, they have a lot of overlap, of course. So, but then there are some people among the cluster A, which are the schizoid people, that are extremely vulnerable, and they should not be thrown together with the cluster B. So, and then there are the drug users and the alcoholics. So, and they have overlap with the other 2 groups a lot, so obviously, and I don't know. I think almost all alcoholics have some schizoid or also cluster B symptoms, where they can't think clearly, they hurt others, and they steal or they burglarize or whatever, they mug people, they kill people in a robbery, burglary, and stuff like this, to get stuff that they can sell, and where they can buy their drugs or alcohol with it. So, and drug use and alcoholism also causes the brain to become cluster B. So all of that is extremely brain damaging, and particularly brain damaging in the compassion center of the brain. So the amygdala, the mirror center in the brain, where we see someone else and we can feel that other being as if they are us. So that's a brain formation, and some people have that very strongly developed, and some people don't have it, don't even have any of that. So very, very scary. Those are the cluster B. Those are psychopaths that don't have that at all, or they're either psychopaths, or they're just they're sadistic people who still have fear of being incarcerated. The psychopaths, the difference between them, psychopaths, is the psychopaths are sadistic and they don't have fear of being incarcerated. So, and that's a form of brain damage. Okay, that's a form of that's a form of mental retardation, actually. I guess a lot of people would not want to hear this, but that is the case. Because people who have real extreme intelligence, really high intelligence, they would never hurt another living being. Okay? They feel compassion, at least to some degree. So that's what I observed. There may be some people that are extremely cunning and have a high IQ in terms of making money, in terms of Machiavellianism, in terms of taking money away from others. So, but it's a lopsided brain. They don't have empathy, and that's very, very disturbing that those mental illnesses exist. And Paul will argue and say those are not mental illnesses, that's simply genetics. This is how people are born. Okay, and I will say, okay, it may be how someone is born. This may be their own natural brain anatomy. Okay, this is what they are. This is how they came into the world. But I still view that as a pathology. I still view this as a mental illness. Mental illness doesn't mean it has to be induced by your childhood. mental illness could also be genetic, of course. A genetic brain anatomy. Okay, so obviously I see that as a pathology, because someone who is cruel to others is an evolutionary dead end. Okay, that is not supportive of their life and the life around them. Okay, so they can, if they hurt other living beings, if they make life miserable, if they cause a world of fear, which they are doing, okay, then that is not beneficial in an evolutionary sense. Okay, that's not moving us forward, us as our species, and for the other species as well. Okay, we are not separated from the other species. Okay, we live here and we are quite dependent on the other species. And I don't mean through food. Okay, we don't need to eat animals. We're dependent on the other species for love. Yeah. I depend on my dog. There are many people that registered their dog as a therapy service dog. Okay, for mental issues, for anxiety, for paranoia. Okay, we depend on our animals. Okay, as companions, as friends. Okay, much more than companions, family members. Okay, they are our family members, and we depend on the wild animals too. They are a vital part of our ecosystem. They are seed distributors. If you get more into biology, you will learn this. If you watch more documentaries on it, you will find out, you will learn that many mammal species and bird species are spreading the seeds of plants. Okay. By eating them, by pooping them out, and where the germination process begins actually in their intestines, and then once they're pooped out, they can start germinating, and this is a symbiotic relationship, not a parasitic one. Symbiotic means we are living in a symbiosis. We are living in a giving and giving. Okay, so we give and the other one takes, but the other one gives back. Okay, that's what we need. So it's a harmonious system of giving and taking, but giving and taking only in a good sense. So in a beneficial sense. So it's a win-win, The seed will germinate, create more plants for the animals to eat their fruits. Then the seed will propagate through the animal. Okay. This happens all around the planet, this mechanism, and many other mechanisms of seed distribution and of even fertilization of plants and food plants through pollinator insects. Okay, it's the whole world is functioning in this symbiotic system. Okay, and if people want to destroy it because they have cluster B mental illnesses, they want to destroy our environment. They want to destroy the ecosystems, which people are doing when they go out there into a wetland where there are frogs living in harmony, in total harmony, and in a symbiosis with all other animals. And suddenly people go in there, the oil industry goes in there and does fracking and drilling and destroying the entire habitat of those frogs. Okay. There are places out there in northern United States, like all the way up there, like Montana and places like this, where they have destroyed entire habitats, wide ranges of natural habitats. This is the truth, okay? People need to think about this. Okay. Is this what you want to do? This is an evolutionary dead end. Okay, this is not where we want to go to. This is not where things should be moving towards. Okay, drilling in the ocean and destroying the ocean habitat and drilling into the ocean floor, into the bedrock to get oil. And then oil leak catastrophes are happening where entire whale species are suffocating to death from those oil leaks, and many other animals. Okay, this is an evolutionary dead end. Okay, Paul Watson said it over and over again. If the oceans die, we die. Okay, people need to understand this. Okay. We are not separated. The oil industry people are not separated from the frogs and the land and Montana and the natural habitats in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, and around the whole globe. Okay. This is the truth. You are not separated. You depend on it. Do you want to cut your own resources? That's my question. Those are cluster B people that are doing this. And there's a lot of them. Okay? And I'm trying to bring awareness to the world about this. What's happening with global warming is a real catastrophe. We are having snowstorms here in Northern California where they never had snowstorms ever before. Okay, the roofs usually are the roofs of the houses are usually quite in a wider angle, more like this. Okay, the newer ones. This one from 1930 has more of an steeper A-frame, because in 1930, I guess they did have some snow, but it was balanced. Okay, the weather patterns were balanced. They didn't have these extreme heat waves in the summertime. They didn't have forest fires. They had some snow in the wintertime, but not like this snowstorm that we have seen here today. And I don't know, maybe they had a snowstorm like this around 1930 or before, but this snowstorm here and these extreme cold temperatures that are not usual for Northern California, this is a reaction to the climate crisis, global warming, the glaciers, the polar ice melting, the sea levels rising, causing severe weather pattern shifts and extreme weather patterns in the United States, Canada, South America, Mexico, around the whole world. Okay, this is very important that people understand this. Okay, this cannot be denied. Okay, you can't be in denial. If you're in denial, you're causing a real serious. You'll be part of causing a serious problem. Okay, you will be one player in this whole machinery. that is brainwashed. The blue god agrees. 4444. Okay. This is the truth, what I'm saying. That's the number of the animal angels. And there are way more species out there in the world that all want to live. It's not just the human species. There are other primates. There are orangutans in Malaysia, and they're encroaching into their habitat. They are logging trees in Malaysia, in Sumatra. Okay, they're logging the rainforest, and they're also killing the orangutans when they see them. Those real horrible cluster B people. So it's really horrible what's going on, because they don't want the orangutans. They want to get rid of them, just like the fishermen want to get rid of elephant seals and sea lions. I've seen all of this here happening. Okay, it's a horror. Those people they're dead on the inside. I've talked to them. Okay, there's nothing going on in terms of, there's no creativity, there is no love. There is no flow. They're in a mental state of like a criminal who's caught. They're in denial, and they're constantly on the lookout. They're psychopaths, those people, those fisher people, most of them. Okay. And the people that go out there into Malaysia, into the rainforest, killing the orangutans and other monkeys and other animals, so that they can log the trees, and they can have cow agriculture and sell cow meat and stuff like this. This is a real bad development. This is also happening in South America, in Brazil, throughout the entire South American Amazonian rainforest. This is happening. This is a real terrible, this is a real frightening development, what's going on there. Okay. This is real horrible for me to see this, because I see all of this, I get all of that information, because I am an activist for the animals and for the planet. So I get to see all of these things that most people will not see. But I try to share it as widely as I can. So now Elon Musk has done a lot of work to fix Twitter, and for the last 2 days or so, I see a drastic switch now. Suddenly, people see my comments. Way more people than ever before. This is not some kind of coincidence because I write better or something. I don't write better. I have been writing fairly well and very informative for many years. But I thought, people are just totally not interested. I lose faith in the human species. Nobody's interested. Nobody even comments back. No, I was shadow banned on every social media website, particularly on former Twitter before Elon Musk got it. I was really shadow banned then, okay, when that Parag Agrawal had it, okay. So now Elon Musk, he is fallen for a couple of tricksters like George Hotz, who made it worse in December, much worse actually. So, but Elon Musk figured it out. He got rid of these terrible people. George Hotz is cluster B, He's Machiavellian, 100%, okay. Those are the people that make the world suffer, okay, in an intellectual way, okay. So not in a psychopathic way, but we can call all of them psychopaths. I have no problem with it. But to be accurate in medical terms, he's Machiavellian, okay. And there are many of those people out there, okay, who have no empathy and who only care about their financial income. no matter what it does in the long run, in the short run, no matter what it does to other living beings. So, and like an arsonist, George Hotz bragged about what he did. He created heaven banning. And guess what? I looked at him. I went on his page on Twitter and looked it up. That was in December. I made a video about this. And I saw I looked up who else commented under that braggery, arsonist mentality braggery. Right? And I see he had hundreds and hundreds of people giving him real shit for that. So that restored my faith into the human species. So obviously not everyone is a complete jerk. Okay, so they gave him shit for that, and they really said, bro, this is Hitleresque at least, and Machiavellian, psychopathic, sociopathic in the worst, making the world much, much, much worse. Okay, this is what we don't want, And a lot of people that pay attention, like I do, and I'm so glad and grateful for that. Thank you, okay, to all of you. So Elon Musk saw that, of course, too, and I'm glad that George Hotz had to brag, so which opened the can of worms for him, and so that's why he got kicked out. And then Elon Musk had to look very deep into the people, all these infiltrators on Twitter, and he had to kick a lot of people out, because the majority of the people that worked for Twitter are infiltrators. They're either former employees from Agrawal, but Agrawal himself is an infiltrator, of course. I think Twitter started out good with some innocent person, and then Agrawal, those kind of people took over. So I think the innocent person ended up selling Twitter to Agrawal or those Machiavellian people. That was in the past. So thank goodness Elon Musk bought Twitter. He could have made it easier and set up his own social media website, which I wanted him to do. That would have been so much easier. He could have saved so much money, right? He could have saved at least $44 billion and more. But maybe this whole thing, all that work pays off in the end, and maybe this is his intention to show people a mirror on what has been going on Twitter, and also to get a hold of the Fauci files and the Hunter Biden files and all of that corruption that obviously has been stored somewhere in the crevices of the Twitter brain. Okay, and he's retrieving all of this information. He wants to show all of this to the public. If he has his own social media website, which he would have made it very successful, but then he wouldn't be able to get a hold of all of these things. And that's why the Twitter people and the government and the entire corporate agenda fought him tooth and nail to make sure he doesn't get Twitter, because they were afraid he would be digging all of that up. So they don't want the truth to come out. And then everyone tried to secure their bank accounts, in the nick of time, and leech as much money out of it as they can before they know their end day is coming, and all of that. And also do some more programs shifting to make it more difficult for the good people to undo all of this. And so this is what's going on. It's a battle between cluster B and compassionate people. Okay, it's the old fairy tale, good versus evil. I stay away from the word evil. So this is a very complex thing. Okay, it cannot be explained away with the word evil. Okay, there's a lot going on. These people are not well. Okay. And that's why we need to make things. We need to heal. We want to help them so that they can heal themselves. Okay? We want them to heal. We want them to start thinking about it and start introspecting so that they can heal their mental illnesses. And everyone can start healing their mental illness. Okay. It's all about mental illness. The human species is mentally ill. Let's start the healing process, okay? Okay, you guys take care.